Okay, sometimes I forget which obs profile is hooked up to which YouTube profile. So I'm just gonna sit here and oh, I should be on the right page. Yeah, all right, cool. So it's working. Um, all right. Not really. So blue ARP, right? Yeah. Usually, um, okay, so like I can think of a couple different ways you would want to use blue art, and I'm gonna get this one way out of the way real quick for the impatient ones that want to learn something. I highly doubt anyone that's watching this channel even knows why they're being shown it by the YouTube algorithm, to be honest. But it's FL Studio centric stream of consciousness with usually free VSTs, kind of like in-depth, long-term uh, some of the VSTs I like are we'll just go ahead and get Surge XT out, and we'll go ahead and get how many VSTs do I don't even um so there's my favorite, it's always a hit or miss situation. It's called MJ harmonic ping only. It only works sometimes, so let's see, does it work this time? No. Okay. Uh at this point, I have enough stuff to carry on with what I'm here to do before I get too distracted. All you need is blue ARP and then a thing to make sound. And that thing cannot be one of your built-in stock, like 3XOS, etc. That's a whole bunch of plugins. All the stock plugins for FL Studio talk to FL Studio um, internally. They have boosted extra functions like the way that 3XOS has the portamento type stuff. The fact that you can do this with the piano roll as opposed to using, how would that be on MIDI? You use your you'd have a note. Let's go talk to Surge. No, Surge. Get that note out. So that, but so if I try and do that with Surge, what happen? Do we hear anything remotely the same with that same setup? No, because they're talking MIDI. So I need a note that's not got that glide on it. And maybe somewhere down here we've got a channel. We got note fine pitch and we got channel pitch. I think the channel pitch is that the knob that's ubiquitously mapped on MIDI keyboards. Like, so note fine pitch is probably not going to do it. Let's try that one. We'll just draw that like that, maybe. Where's okay? So there's a middle. Um, how do I get rid of that? But no, just that. Anyway, yeah. Don't hear that either, do we? Hmm. Right. So this isn't fucking blue ARP. Uh, yeah. So because some synthesizers get to talk to FL Studio uh, through MIDI, and some not, you have different tabs here, and the one for the MIDI settings is not going to be there on your stock plugins. So I don't know how to use 3XOS with blue ARP. There's got to be a way, but I can't really think of it offhand. You also can't use 3XOS inside of Patcher. So there you go. But there, okay, so back to where we were. There is a way to get the MIDI into notes on the piano roll from a setup, and then copy and paste it over to whatever you want. So uh, we'll set that up first, and then like actually what I wanted to do was mess around with making a seeing how far I could get through making of a preset bank. That's like 128 different things, and they're all real tedious. But there's got to be a way to fill it out quickly, maybe. So the blue ARP by default, uh, in its MIDI settings, it's not set up to any input port or output port. So if you were to put some notes in there, let's get notes out of Surge. And so blue ARP, if I put a note, we don't hear anything. Give it a C5 here, and we'll give it a little like some kind of a motif or something. There, uh, there is a way. So you see on the right-click menu for each of the channel, what are these called? Channel buttons? I don't know. Channel selectors, channel button. Burn MIDI to new pattern or current pattern. Let's just okay. Well, it worked. It's exactly what we had. Now let's give it an output port like 0 and Surge port like 0. Same thing. Input so that they match, right? Pick a number between 0 and 255, and that's how they hook up. So okay, so I could put notes straight into the Surge and they sound like this, or blue ARP they sound like this. So that's on the blue ARP preset how that all goes. Let's try something like this. Okay, see, you hear that? What is that? Well, oh wait, so we turn this into that, like what we hear, and then we'll copy that over to 3x. So it's going to go, this data is going into Surge. What happens if we burn MIDI to new pattern? Hey, it worked. It didn't ask us that, like, depending on the swing settings, maybe? I don't know. Sometimes it asks you questions, and usually you just say, okay, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. But, so we got our MIDI, so we can take this. Just usually, when I copy and paste them, I just use select with the green, like click the green stuff you want to select. You can do multiple things. I just want this one. Control C, and then or Control X. Just move it. Control V, and that's how copy and paste works for that. So great. So that's disgusting, and we're gonna delete that because it was only for demonstration purposes. Back to the first pattern here. That's disgusting. Let's fix it. So usually, pick something a little more mellow. I tend to find plucks like for arpeggios, like usually a pluck is doing what I want. Sometimes it's got to be a mono, like lead. Lead is sometimes what you think of as mono. So like if this has, let's give it a chord. So this particular arpeggio is not doing anything with that one key, but let's find something that does. Okay, this uses 3 keys, 3 notes of the chord. What are they doing? What's that part that happened? It must be no, no, no. Oh, maybe it's just because leads do that. They what is this? How quick is your porta? No? It's a fast portamento, so it should be. It's poly. Hey, that's a mono one. What? What does this sound like normally? Is it just always going in and out of tune? Yeah, basically. Okay, so formant pulse already has. Oh, okay. I assumed that it would be like. Da, 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 da. Okay, so that's like a video game. You won the level sound. Let's get some more. Yeah. So blue ARP. I'll scale it up so you can see it. After I don't know what I was looking around for. No, it's right over here. The scaling. I've got it on small, so we'll make it a little bigger than normal. Or I guess since this is the internet, we'll make it even bigger than that. There. Okay. This was someone's theme that was trying to look like Ableton. Here's some other themes. I don't know which one I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right there. That's enough themes. You have at the top. Well, let's close this so you don't get confused. You have a way to cycle through your things here. That's called cur program. And when you've loaded a bank through this method, it can ask the VST for a list of presets to put on this menu. And so you can use this menu and you know, you see, oh, good. They seem to say the same thing. But that's only updated. This menu here is only updated when the plugin is loaded, or when the preset is loaded. So we've got all these presets, and they're being supplied. Each preset is a program that's inside of a bank, and you can load up different banks in this menu right here. If you load from a file, I have some banks somewhere. I think there's like 3 things in this bank. How many? Yeah, it was 6 things. So you know you can start from a blank and then save it, and then remember to like save it after you edit it from then on, and you'll get, when you see I've loaded it, and you can see obviously this list does not any longer reflect you know, like you choose something here and it's going to go, you chose program 30, no matter what you think you called it, you're really just calling it by number with a label. So if you make, like, let's say you find some banks on the internet and you want to make yourself a nice way to use it, like here, what you would do is go bank, load from file. Let me find the bank that I want to do this to properly. It must be up one more into presets. I dumped them in the wrong spot, or maybe it's the right spot. I don't know. But so I'm gonna choose this one. Now use, so to recap. Bank load from file was step 1. I picked an FXB that I downloaded off the internet or that I saved somewhere. With that loaded, now I go up here and pay attention to what chain you're on. Just a tip. And when I save, this part here will also get saved with it. Just a note. So when I save on this menu here now, file, where's file? One. Presets. No, that's what I want. Save preset as. I don't know. I'm thinking of the mixer track. So I'm going to save preset as, and that's kind of different than Save channel state. Whoa, what just happened? Hello? Get out of here. Delete. I have no idea what just happened. I must have duplicated or something. Um, so save preset as. We'll just call it ABC test because I'm going to delete it later. It should be on this menu now. And so, yeah, that's it. And we've got the presets that we saved. They match the lists. See, it's like outrun 1, 2, 3 on this. Outrun 1, 2, 3. So that's how you get your presets into your thing. Now I guess I'm gonna delete that now. Is there a way? We'll go to this place and then say delete. There. No, cancel. We're good. Right. So back onto the what's up with this blue art? Copy. Oops, I loaded up the boob ass. Boob ass is another stock plugin that won't work with blue art. So, whoops. Blue art. The whole purpose of all that restarting was so that I could clear out the old, make sure it read the folder. So it's basically back where we started. I think I saved it with the right output port. So all I have to do is load up something and get an input port for it. Or 10 things. So here's Surge. Let's do that input port. There. They're hooked up. The 0 and the 0. I noticed that the guy who made this Blue Arp seems to really like this synth, and I've never given it a chance. It's, I mean, I don't know why. It's got such a cool OS, I mean, a cool interface. No presets? No presets. Okay, so, so there's this synth, and we're going to use it for a minute here and see if we can find something good with it. Should I just have 2 blue arps? No. All right, when you're when you think you're all set up, click the things, turn the tab parts off. Put a note into the blue arp part, which is going to name itself whatever the preset bank is, or whatever preset you're on, usually. No. And now the next thing, okay, so it's just all these like start and stop. We're not doing music here. We're talking about all the helpful tips you need, like to, if you're doing this. One thing you'll run in here is learning. It's just learning about the FL Studio interface for the most part. So your little buttons on this thing that like turn, see that's not an audio mute on this thing. The channel rack is just muting data that the channel rack sends. Like, do you want the channel rack to talk to that plugin or not? And so once you've routed this through MIDI, because we're doing those MIDI ports, and we're not really putting data here. See, I can use the mute thing on that kind of data, but now I'm gonna well, unmute. You're still gonna hear sound when I hit play. Hey, look, they're both muted. We shouldn't be hearing anything. So, well, you just have to route them to audio now, like, and just mute them in the mixer. So, or route them all to the one place and turn them up and down with this little knob. So whichever, let's get the mixer. This thing doesn't actually make sound, so it doesn't need a mixer track. And as for the rest of them, usually I just get what I want selected here, this part, the green, and then double click, drag across the mixer tracks I want, and then Control Shift 12. Cool. So okay, so we got mixer tracks labeled after the synths. We got synths, not choosing any sort of presets yet, but so we'll get on that. What was that one just a minute ago? I liked that. I'm gonna find it. Yeah. Okay. And then synth one. What do you sound like? That's synth one. Okay. Hmm. You know, if I had presets for this, I don't wanna, okay, let's randomize it at least once. How bad does that sound? Yeah. Randomizing is just for science, sci-fi sounds basically, but every now and then. Got great stereo panning. Don't get a lot of poly. Ah. So the computer keyboard doesn't have like poly very well. That needs to go through an aught. With the downward compression turned off. Alright. Doing. So there's going to be like the synth sound and then the chorus of monkeys, I guess. Do, 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 do. I haven't really checked out these presets. Okay, so it sounds like crap, but yeah, so let's not worry about that. um so we did the copy data make thing like you know, burn MIDI, new pattern, and that's fun. But so what about like if you were doing this and you obviously you can use these little arrows and you can pick something, but like how to do that like while you're, what if you're like want to map that to something? So over here in the browser under current project generators, the Blue Arp, whatever it's calling itself, has cur program, and you just right click it and you do your go to town. You can either use the edit events and just like control I, supposedly. Oh no, control I is a little bit wonky unless what, yeah, we didn't say, we're looking for a 90, so like control I should have put in something a little different there. I need to go to a blank program. Control I, come on, it's doing the little thing at the bottom. Look, go to a new program. There's nothing here. I know the resolution of the screen is not making it remotely possible. It's like the bottom pixel. Uh, you see how the bottom pixel is it's not like a one of these lines there. So when I control I, now look, you see that little green line there? I'm trying to put it somewhere it's contrasty. There's a little green line. We'll do it one more time. Here I am on empty pattern. It's not there. Control I. Uh-oh. See, I want the control I to do what I'm on. If you use the, well, the action, it's either set like this, pulls up the thing, or just clicking pulls up the thing. Like, press your button. So it is the right parameter. For some reason, going like right click edit events. Well, give me the edit events box. Control I. Only inserts 0. Hey, we're on 1. How do we get? Come on, go somewhere else. So see, notice I'm gonna try and go slow here, so we'll see what's happening. I have this menu and I have that menu and I have this button. They're all supposedly the same thing, but when I go to this, oops, see, when you click in this dang thing, usually the pencil is more like what you want. What I would suggest is, or automating parameters like this that are not like it's not a smooth automation. You just need a specific number and you set it to that thing. Turn the magnets snap setting all the way down to bar, so penciling anywhere in there just pencils the value. See? And then when you have all that, like if you want to delete, Control A, delete to get rid of the data. I didn't really have to keep making new programs and stuff. Just go to the thing and say Control A. Of course, with the correct window focus. Control A, and then delete. So, right. Cur program. Link to controller, or create automation clip, or edit events. I still prefer the old edit event thing. It's just that getting this to work with this means you have to, what do you have to do? Like I almost knew it for a minute. So if I choose it here, wait a minute. You ended up in your empty place. What did you, we're on blank. Oh, okay. So if you end up on the, it's kind of annoying. There's an internal list and an external list. So if you end up on the external list and it sets you up differently over here, then, you know, then you just screwed up and you don't even know why. Sound's not coming out. And also, yeah, like you end up changing that reloads the list of stuff. So you have to go back and reload your shit again and make sure you're set up correctly. But I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, I've done this. I figured out it's the 2-step. Right click cur program, edit events. I just need that. Make sure that's showing. There it is. Okay. Close this guy's box. Down there. Maybe not such a huge window. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so if I choose off of this menu, gotta be careful. If I'm on like the end and I use that button, it will blank me out. Look. See? Now, whoops. No good. So this menu, be careful. This menu doesn't do that. Like when if I'm on program 128, the very last program, and I click this, it doesn't cycle. This will go back, but this just stops. This button cycles, okay? Da da da. Just be aware. If you have pads like um these dudes, and there's these things usually have multiple banks. So this thing's got 4 programs with the bank has 2 of these per program. So there's like 64 different uh, MIDI notes you can send, and you use your configuration thing to set up what those are. And so yeah, you have your keys on your keyboard. You can label if you have an extra keyboard. And you can make it so that each pad or key goes to a specific pattern or of this. And so while I'm trying to figure out how to make it so that how to do the edit events thing besides like going manually, you have to do it like let's say I know I want to I could set it here all day, and we figured out that doing control I doesn't put the value in, and I'll say, well, I know that I want 118 or something, so I can right click curve program, set the value, make sure we see it said 118, but then like sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. So like set the value like that, and then over here in your box that should, if you just get this box, the edit events box, now control I inserts 118. Yay! So that's pretty handy. Good to know. Like, okay, let's do that like 10 more times so we can learn it. Go to someplace. Let's see. Here I want to do. We'll make the intro to our song be. We go pattern 1 for a while, then pattern 2 for a while, and then we go pattern 3. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, like song. What do you mean? Like with the song, the playlist? Yes. So, oops. So right here, this is just a pattern that's empty except for I've got a 118 right here. Like I would have to label this 118 for it to make sense. But so I'll have a pattern here that goes, here's some MIDI. What's in that? Double click it. It looks like we've got good. We got some notes. We're gonna send arpeggiated notes into the arpeggiator. See, arpeggiated notes into the arpeggiator is a nice little trick there, I think, sometimes, because you get a little bit better. I'm not a very good piano player, so you get like you're tricking it into being better. Should we turn the monkeys off? Synth one. How about another randomize? Well, that's better. What is that? It's raining. How about? Kind of sad we forgot to save the monkeys. Oh well. Uh, save the monkeys. Drink your coffee. Um, I have no idea why I'm looking at this part of the synth one synth. What was you even doing with it? Randomizing. Ooh. Yeah, we're probably not going to get a good sound out of that one just by randomizing it. Let's just choose a different synth. Dext is pretty nice. I mean, I've not actually looked at it other than this list, but a couple of the things on the list are all right. Okay, so gotta hook it up every time. Remember, unless you go about saving everything, say hooked up to a certain port, and you're real meticulous about labeling what port you saved it. Gonna be doing this a lot, but that's okay. Okay, I lied. I don't always like let that preset one. Oh, because it's going through an aught. Duh. Okay. So we know the sound of pattern what, and then we're gonna go to the next one. The next one. How do we make it do that? Well, you could use chains and do this current chain business. Next chain, blah blah blah. One of them saves with the program. The rest saves with the chain. So the program can have a current chain, and the program can say it has a certain number of chains. Actually, whoa, I'm still confused about chains to some degree. So I'm gonna skip that and say that's what this other method is for the like brain dead attention deficit types who don't want to mess with one extra thing and just do the obvious thing, which would be go to the current program in a like I did here, where like let's hit, F12 is a really handy button. Closes all your stuff so you can just get the things you want to look at. I'm only interested in looking at this one, but maybe not so large. It's kind of a bit bothersome. Normal size. Sorry. Okay. So we're on pattern one. Press F5. Looking at my playlist. I could just make this thing here do this. Control I. See, it doesn't do it. I'm on 118 now because I clicked that. Whoa, can I put another one of these over here? Make it unique. Double click it. Go to another place. And then just control I. No, you have to use your this knob. See, now so if I want to turn the knob to 1. Control I. This is my 1. Let's label the 118 number 2. We'll do a couple bars of that, and then do one, make it unique. Use this please FL Studio, make it so something can say stay this menu open, motherfuckers. Please. Wait a minute. Why is what pattern? What? Just double click it. See, I don't have to. Is that 1 or 2? What are we? Where? What? It's a 1. On a 2. Control I. There's a 2. Okay. So let's make it unique and do there's gonna be a song. Delete that. There. Do now all it's left is to make these right here a 3. So you just have to do like this. Yeah. Turn it just a little bit. Control I. over here. There's our three. Almost can't tell, but yeah, you can. Near, near, near. Bigger. That's as big as it'll go. So there's our 1, 2, and our 3. Let's hit play on. Okay. So we have successfully learned how to get MIDI, burnt MIDI, and then Kerr program automated with the most primitive manual method edit events using the magnet on the big bar with the pencil to just do stuff. Oops. And having to once you see that little, I don't know if you caught that, but that's a little tip I'm gonna have to give myself, because I have just been going to this menu and using this, but once you have one of those in the playlist, you can duplicate and then just double click it to bring up the box, and Control I at that point would be well, bring up the box, use Kerr program to adjust, because like I already said, this this selector doesn't seem to update something for it to Control I. Well, maybe. Okay, what are we on? What did it say? 22? Is that a 22? Who is this? Let's play it. Let's see. Watch. Does this go to 22? No. It went to a 15. So somehow there's a little bit of a disconnect, unless you... So what is this supposed to be? It's supposed to be a 2, right? Or we wanted it really to be a 2. So I would go do. Kerr program. Do. Mercy. Can you imagine how tedious it would be to make, well, probably not going to use all 128 of them for a song, because that's a little, you can get away with less. But yeah, it would be pretty tedious. Blue ARP stuff. Okay. This is not supposed to be like a normal Blue ARP tutorial. I'm just trying to think of all the weird use cases. Those are the two weird ones, right? Or the normal ones. Oh, yes, let's make a pad. Like I talked about it, but I didn't do it. Let's make a pad that goes. So I've got my keyboard here, and it's got those pads. There are other kinds that you can put them into CC mode. All right. So I have a CC mode, but I've never really... I have no idea what the CC's sending are. I'm going to turn on CC mode. And we'll say we want to switch between I don't know, two of these like any two, it doesn't matter, but we need to try and like pretend we're being specific, so if we're going to run into problems, we'll solve them, right? So synthwave bass 3 and 4, maybe we'll be like, yeah, that's our song. We got this bass line here. Hey, oh right, yeah, the song's going to be doing that. You might have to either delete that or new arrangement, but yeet. Which one? Okay. That MIDI sucks. I mean, that's cool. Maybe if I had done a better job on it, it would would be better, but so let's see, delete all those patterns. Back to nothing. Scratch. Nil. Zip. Zilch. Nada. Just one little zero length note in pattern 1. Where's that? So if you get lost, you control right click and it kind of alternates between these two, zoomed in, zoomed out, and usually so 2 control right clicks will always get you looking at what you want to look at. The whole thing, that is. So there it is. There's our one piece of MIDI data, or data. Sometimes I just like to I like to be able to see it and make it do the, how long should it be exactly, so you can see that's synth tweet. It keeps going. Why does it keep ending up back there? What the heck? This is just like one random preset off the internet, or one bank. The default one. Heck, I didn't even save a default one, so there's no way back. Well, what we got here? There's one with called Opax Fab, and it's like mostly bass lines, so not a lot of non-bassline things. Okay, there's a little arpeggiator. Oh, but it's not really an arpeggiator if it's just doing the pitch, the scale step stuff. Let's in a real one. Yeah, I don't see. Oh, okay. There's one. We're not giving it a chord, so it's not going to do chord stuff. Unless it's making up something, because on this page it would show us that the ARP engine can either be off or have some kind of setting, and then know what to do. Maybe make up some extra notes and call them a chord, but otherwise you got to give them the notes. So all 5 notes, let's give it some notes. It helps if they're all in kind of the same scale and idea. But just for grins, like, the point is, these are not all on the same scale and they're going to sound bad. So is there a way to fix that over here? Yup. You can just force it all to, like, whatever. Pentatonic, major, minor, harmonic, minor, melodic, minor, major, minor, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixed Lydian, Locrian, Aeolian, etc. Well, there's not much left after that. Neutral. Neutral pentatonic, blues. Major. Wait, melodic minor is the one that changes whether it's going up or down, right? How do they account? Do they? No. You can also just tell it, be in a certain key. So there's another parameter. Let's see. What's that one called? Force to scale colon root key. Over here on generators, this thing, which the name is always going to be different based on what's going on. So we've already got cur program somewhere down in here called force to scale root key or something like that. Because maybe like if you change it, it doesn't the hint panel wasn't very helpful. Program change message, input train mode, output velocity mode, send back, chain restart, switch, chain init flag, da 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 da. Gate, step, slap, sync, music keys. Oh, we're getting close. Force to scale, key, scale, force scale, mode. So key, scale, mode. Key, scale, mode. Okay, so we found that little group. It's called force scale key. And so if you have 12 keys on your keyboard, you want to reserve for that. Some keys you want to reserve for that. Some keys. Mode doesn't look like it's that important. I don't know. Maybe. But so yeah, basically you just have you could have it so that my lowest, how low is my lowest pad? It's a pretty low note. You could say, what if that was oh right, we're on forced. I was like, there's not the right. How would we do that then? All right, I'll figure it out. How many things am I doing at once? I didn't even find. Oh yeah, I did. Um, they're called force scale, key, scale, and mode. So I need maybe to make myself something that would put it over here and label it. So every parameter that I'm gonna want to f with, I'm probably gonna want a track labeled to put the things, like maybe a group of things, you know. So we'll get some patterns and drop them on the tracks. A new empty pattern here for that, and a new empty pattern here for that. Okay, oops. So this one will go force scale key, edit events, neutralize, fine. It's just going to put a 0, just a little line down there, and then this one, click it. That's going to be force scale, edit events. Whoa. Okay. So label that key. Force scale. Whoop. Oh, did you see that? That's Windows Power Toys. I left it on because I was showing somebody. It actually doesn't. I don't know if I like it or not. I mean, yeah, it's Power Toys is pretty cool. Good job, Microsoft. Force scale key. And this one was supposed to be force scale scale. So drop key onto the thing and then scale onto the thing, and now you get a labeled track, which is handy. So now if I just double click that, it will bring me up the little box like I've gone over here. But I still need to go over here for the probably for the adjusting thing. Let's hope not, but can I change this to detect from chord and then control I? Yay! So I guess the way to do that would have been clone before like this. Give this the name, what was it? Key make unique. Okay, so one of them is gonna be the off. We'll make that one the, which one? Off is the first one. Check board off. Double click that guy, control I. F2. And this one is so just as an example of how you could be organized about it and just have little double clickable things on your playlist that bring you right up to this. How is that? Let's see, does it, can we, yeah, okay. And of course, recording automation works like normal. Like most people would probably just dump it all in one place. That's what I would do. Don't bother labeling it ever. Ooh, yuck. But like if you were gonna try and make your like keep it from getting crazy, it's probably helpful to think about some of the parameters in this way at least. Like these are just the ones that I want to be like, well, I'd like to have control over that and really know, like visually have an idea of like what key the song was in. Not just kind of wonder and be like, I think maybe it's got some parts in F sharp over there, but there's some G flat parts over there where it's not the same. So a button that does things. Right. Last thing. I'm totally done here. I just want to smoke a cigarette. But a button that does things. So let's do that. Generators. Whatever the open the blue ARP thing. I always want to read off that, and I'm like, no, don't read that off. That's totally arbitrary. But so find your blue ARP under generators of the current project in the browser. Find the parameter you want to have a button for. I really wanted that to be force to scale root, but that's a lot of different buttons. So that's more like laying out. There's a different way to do this. We just want a button that does a specific value. So we can do it this way, but it's more applicable if we wanted a button that was like, what about some patterns on this list? And we'll forget about force to scale for a minute. And yeah, we'll just leave it off. Well, it's alternating between off and detect right here with this little bit. Off detect, off detect, off detect. So we'll do this. There's our let's have one like a key change or something, right? Because those notes were chosen to be bad notes. What if I said, well, what did we say, F sharp? There's our F sharp. Should be major or minor? Major. Notice there's not much difference between off and detect when you actually give it a chord that's like a chord that it could detect. Or what's going on with force to scale. That was the one that was key one. No, wait, mixed loading? Oh, I didn't have detect from chord on the force to scale. Force to scale. So if I change it there, and then I do it there, and then I do it like that, it should be like that. Cool. Okay, so let's make it that the pattern 20. This is calling itself magnetic fields. I'm really starting to like the. If that's the band, then I think yeah. They're one of my favorite bands. Slowly over time, they have songs that get stuck in my head, but and actually have meaningful lyrics that I can relate to. Hold on. Pause. I forgot to be wearing my hat. No reason. Really proud of this hat. It's first time I've had a new hat, since my sister gave me one for Christmas once. Aside from that, all other baseball caps I've owned were used. And this is the first one I paid money for. But anyway, okay, so back to this thing. We want to make a button. It's pretty simple. You just copy and paste, but you do need to know where the FL Studio setting applies on the button. So paying close attention to what pattern I'm on, to not be on something that I'm just going to screw up, like Control F4. I'm on a blank pattern. I'll give it a name to help remember. Okay, pattern. Actually, curve pattern. That's best. Okay, so I'm on a pattern called curve pattern, and well, the it's gonna have to be labeled in a box with its stuff, but we'll just put it down here. Curve pattern. Wait, like this, and so that labels our track and puts it there. But if I double click curve pattern, there's nothing in it. Nothing happens. I need to put something in it. So with that selected, go to curve. Oops, it's not called. How do we reset this? Right click. Whoa, all of them? Oh, I had them all selected. Whoops. So I just reset all my stuff. That's okay. I can fix that. Where's this? Touch it. Delete it. Find it. Drag it. Drop it. This. Hey, this didn't get reset, so luckily that's okay. And this, I don't think I typed any names here. So we're good. Curve pattern. Why didn't you reset like everything else stupid. Come on. Okay, so curve pattern is supposed to be named curve program. I don't want to start saying it wrong. Curve program. Curve program. Curve program. So over here, we shall edit events, and with that open, drag to the number we want to say we want our pattern, which was what? I guess it was it 22? And I'm going to call it that, if that's it. I need the box showing. Come forward. All right. I need the box showing, and I need the box showing, but there. This is a bit annoying to have to open this menu and drill down every time, but luckily it's near the top of the... Right, so 22, I do want to... I've got this set to 22 on this thing, this list, not this thing, not that thing, not somewhere else. Yeah, so then I focus on this edit event box, and Control I should put a 22 in. To test that, we'll hit play, and we should be seeing not the pattern jump to something else. Good. So so now on this pattern, see, I dragged it with just the unlabeled part. Like forced, did I, I don't know how bad I screwed all this up, but so if I want to have a couple of them, this one is 22, it should be labeled or program 2. And I'm putting that stuff in brackets for my, to know that that's, yeah. So clone, I mean, make another one and make it unique. Double click once you get your thing figured out what you want to set it to. It would be nice if you could just go over here and do this, but figure out what you want. Make sure that the value is set over here. And so I'm just going to make, wait, no, not curve cheat, curve program. Next one up, 23. July. So those are my two values that I'm putting them in the edit events thing, because, you know, we're going to do the same thing but with buttons in a minute. For now, I want to have those two, like, so you can play one, and then we'll say we switch. We can play 8 bars of this, and then we play 8 bars of that. Well, I don't really like what that did, but I mean, there, we did it. You know, we meant to do it, so we could put it back like just the last bit. How about we turn this up like tempo wise? Okay. Buttons. I'm going to put my keyboard in CC mode, or my pads in CC mode. That is not the keyboard in CC mode, it is the pads. So yeah, if you got pads and you, so now we have this curve program thing, we can do link to controller. And you're going to have an up and a down, or a specific value for each one you want to go to. So in this one, first I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to switch them, and then I'm going to do the other, because I don't want to have just specific buttons. But that's actually how we started thinking we were going to do it. So one of them, it's on auto, so it just closed after I pushed the button. I come back to this place. find it again, right click it. You see now it has a checkbox. Let's go there and look at it. So that was control 106. My keyboard is on port 4. I guess the pads are on channel 1. Control 106. Mode is default. Mapping formula is input. And remove conflicts is on. So I want a new link for my next button. So I go new link and I hit my next button. It closes. I come back, find it again on the list. Current program, right click, link to controller. So I can look at my link 1 and my link 2. It's really helpful to keep track of what your control numbers are for the first one you do, and pay attention to when sometimes it can rearrange and you end up where link 1 is switched with link 2. But yeah, so just keep it straight in your head however you help it. I find it helpful to just say that first time the number out loud, like 106, so I know. But basically, my two buttons are CC 106 and CC 107 on my keyboard, and one of them could be, so if I'm making it like a specific pattern, we use, I believe, well, let's try it with just default to start out with. We're just going to type a value. So I went to, so the value you get this time is the decibel. It's not decimal. It's not, what am I trying to say? It's not the integer value that you type in, it's the decimal. So when you go set, or use, set is the same as using your left mouse button. So when I do that, that's the integer 1 to 128. And if I'm trying to make a button that does 1 and a button that does 2, just these two, then I set it to the value I want for the first one and go either just copy the value. Let's try copy value. But if you go to type in value, you'll see usually a very small decimal number, and it's a specific value that you need. So you can copy it, Control C, or I believe hitting copy does the same thing. So I copied that. Now, where do I put it? Let's go back to here, go to link to controller, make sure we're on the right link. Link number 1, button, that one's gonna do in here, put it with the mapping formula, Control V. I just put that crazy decimal 0.003451 blah 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 in there and hit accept. And now I will set to some other, I'll put the blue ARP in some other program and then hit the button, and it goes back to 1. So here I am on pattern 12, I hit that pad, it goes back to 1. And that's good. Seems like I didn't have to mess around too much with the mode. For the incrementers, you change the mode. We're going to do that next after we get both of our buttons set up, just to kind of be repetitive and educational and stuff. Okay, new link, or I mean not new link, link number 2, 107, the mapping formula. Oh crap, I didn't get my number in my clipboard, so so next we have to set it to our 2. Let's try copy the value and then type in the value, look at it. Okay, so it's 0.00 or point blah blah. I can recognize the difference, but I didn't use my Control C there. I just did copy value here. So copy the value of a 2 and then go into the link to controller, link number 2, into the mapping formula, paste, with Control V. Good. So their copy works. Just tested. Either way is fine. It's the same thing. We all knew that, but I just have to test it. So now I have a button theoretically that goes to pattern 2 and pattern 1. I'm on pattern 1. Cool. Cool. Okay, so next let's make we could just have more links. We can have those 2 buttons, and I'll use the 2 pad next door to them to make up and down for these. Could be for anything, but so we have 128 things we want to cycle through on this curve program. Linked controller. Since I already have some links and I don't want to screw them up, I'm going to go new link, but I could just use those 2 already. So with Omni, okay, auto detect is still on. Press my first one, it closes. Right click curve program, link controller, go to a new link. The other pad, it closes, right come back, find it, make the controller. So now I gotta check my links, like 1, 2, 3, 4, have they all stayed in position? Link 1 and 2, check. 3 is 108 and 4 is 109. Okay. So the 109 is up and 108 is down. So link 3 and 4, they need to be mode increment. Okay, see, 3 is if the down, you need the down one to have an inverted increment. So that's here. Wait, no, not on. Yes, I believe inverted increment is going to work. There's different ways. 3, 4, increment. Let's try it. I mean, it seems like it's set up. I've just changed the mode to increment, and I said that the lower one was inverted. And then, so, yeah. It can. I've got a button that goes up. Can I go down? Yeah. Good. We've learned so far, to recap, we learned how to burn MIDI to get this to something where you can't hook it up, or if you just want to have the MIDI, because like you can't hook it up to everything. You can only hook it up to things that have a VST wrapper settings tab in their gear section. And the input ports, the output ports, having to route things to different audio channels if you want to mute them, because these buttons will no longer affect your synths. Having to come here to this freaking place 1,000 times a minute when you do this, because it's always going to close the menu and start you back over. But okay, so linked controller, edit events. We learned that you have to use this knob sometimes to be, if you're gonna use Control I or you know, copy and paste, you better off using these than trusting. All the VSTs sometimes have weird ways of doing it. Wait, wrong VST. It's what else have we learned? Yeah, we learned how to make an up and a down and a specific button. And all that recording and automation stuff is like you can go find other tutorials for that. Generators, increments, holding, latching, CC values. Um, so some things that come in handy would be if you're just going out of your mind, keeping all this organized. The Fruity keyboard controller lets you. It's helpful for like if I have notes. Notes are different than CC values. Like you're sending MIDI note data is different than MIDI CC data. So we've got these things that we can control by MIDI CC simply because pads have a CC mode. Like if you have an Akai LPD8 or an MPK Mini or whatever, then you've got your CC mode. But so what if you don't and you only have notes and you want to hook the notes up to something that you control with CCs? That's where the keyword controller helps. You have a range you define, and then you choose auto map or just individually go to each note. Like you you have clicking, like I'm left clicking near the bottom or left clicking near the top to set the top. So you can set your range to be the whole keyboard and then auto map white and black, and then when you right click to highlight a note, that's selecting it. The little blue left clicking just would screw it all up at that point because it'll just oh wait, yeah, left clicking on the top, that is. If you click down below in these on this part in the keys, it selects. You can select something outside of your range though. So anyway, you choose a range. Usually you interpolate for CCs, but auto map white and black does a better job on some things. I don't know how to explain. You end up where you have to do a little bit of division or think about like how MIDI is usually 127 as the maximum value or whatever. Like so, you're you're gonna divide something like into a certain number of things. You might have like a formula that you need to use to divide 127 by something to get your specific increment, and it's like that's why copy and paste is a little easier, it's more straightforward. I don't know. That's a bad explanation. So keyboard controller, like let's say I wanted to have force to scale root key and have keys, not pads, keys. Do that. Like if I set pads up with this method, I'd do one thing per pad, copy and paste, set, and you can see that for 12 keys plus these two other options, that'd be 14 things. So what you would do is make a range with 14 things up here in this keyboard controller, interpolate, and then hook it up. Usually that works. So we'll say that we'll just look at I'm looking at the keyboard here and like, okay, so there's my C4. I'll say that that's the lowest note in this range, and it's got me up to C5. That would be 12. C sharp. What was it? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so from C4 to B4 would be 12. C4 to C5 is 13 things. And then C sharp 5 is a 14th thing. So that could be that. Let's try interpolate white and black. And then over here, we need to find force to scale root key. It's called force to scale key. It's down here somewhere. Force to scale key. Link to controller. Find that internal controller, keyboard controller note. And then say okay, I guess. The mappings, let's just leave the mapping alone and see what happens. So I'm gonna hit play. I got my MIDI data. We'll be saying some keys up here, but or some notes, and we got these. We may have to jump off. We may have to mute one of these tracks. So I gotta mute the track that keeps sending that force scale key stuff. Force scale is okay. That's just saying detect from chord or something. Wait. Yeah, okay. Oh, I gotta turn detect from chord off to force to scale. Let's mute that data and say, no, turn it off. Just want to hear that. Wait, no, you're right. Turn it back on. Turn it back on. Curve program is cool. Force to scale is cool. I turned off this stuff, force to scale key, because that's what I'm going to be testing. But I pushed the wrong button. It's like it was working, but then it stopped. Like, look. It's not doing it. It was. What did I stop it from doing? Let me make it. I don't know what it stopped working for. Let's go find out. Down here, force scale key, linked controller. What's up with this link? The keyboard controller note. The mapping formula is fine. Oh, I wasn't so yeah, you have to have it highlighted, and so then the problem, well, I mean selected so your MIDI data goes to it. I was sending MIDI data to the other thing. So like this. Where's this? This force scale. Just delete it. Or see, wait. I didn't label force scale what scale or off, or that looks like it's detect probably. Like if you were to divide this into 14 things, that's probably 1/14th. What were my other options there? Come here. Right. You need to be visible. You need to be visible and selected so I can see. So it's only, it seems like it, so here's the problem. We're still debugging this. Force to scale root key. I press my C, nothing happens. And on up. Like it goes to E, like I was tricking myself. It's not really doing anything properly. Like maybe that's the mapping. Or maybe that's, look at the right, so select here. That's that value there. And that's that value there. uh, there. So I really want this like all the way up, and then this I want this all the way down, and then maybe interpolate white and black will now see. Now it will work. I had, I guess, interpolated while I was. Oh, well, yeah, you it interpolates between the value you have set at the top of your range and the value you have set at the bottom, or yeah, yeah. So if I had already interpolated, uh, then when I was like this, like some other thing, I'm going to say auto map, interpolate white and black. So when you select a thing, you see how it's like moving the values. So okay, so I selected this range. That put that value as the my top, and the other one is that. So interpolating was doing nothing basically. Um, so from C4, C#5, select your thing, your this one, turn that down. Select your top, turn that up. Auto map, interpolate white and black. Now you have an interpolation that's good. And you'll note there's all kinds of crazy business going on in the other keys. Like until you deal with like you didn't really say what to do. It's just not going to do anything there. So, but so now my keyboard should work where got it. Did you catch all that? I hope so. That was it's about as much motivation as I have at this point. Um, yeah, yeah, it's lunchtime.